Hello and welcome to Positive Space. In this video we're looking at my top 5 game-changing design trends for 2023. 2022 was a big year for the creative community. We had the anti-design movement, NFTs went wild, and artificial intelligence emerged in the world of design. But I think next year has some big things in store for us. So here are 5 trends that I think we need to be aware of and how we can take advantage of them. First up, we've got artificial intelligence in design. In the last few years, through content creation platforms like TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, we've seen the level of DIY content creation come on leaps and bounds. It's made the design community realise that people don't always want to see something perfectly finished and prefer to see an authentic and real creation. This is partly being driven through artificial intelligence and apps like Canva that are pulling down a lot of the more costly entry barriers to design. How can we designers take advantage of the situation? Let's start by looking at this nuclear power campaign by design studio And Walsh in collaboration with Brazilian influencer Isodope. Most of the images used are created partially by artificial intelligence image creator DALL-E, which is befitting for such a future-focused campaign. If you're unfamiliar with DALL-E, it can generate multiple variations of original images entirely from text prompts. For example, if you were to type "teddy bears working on new AI research on the moon in the 1980s, you would get something like this, or this. I can see this is something that many content creators or designers alike can use to get a creative edge. As we know, not all good ideas are intentional. They can sometimes materialize out of thin air. So an image generator like this can really help trigger new ideas or help come up with images that you would have never thought of yourself and sort of help to get you out of a creative rut sometimes. So go check it out. I've put links to everything I'm sharing today in the description. Some other amazing examples of AI that can really help us designers are remove.bg. So whether you're processing 50 or 1,000 images at a time, remove.bg can automatically remove each photo's background with just a drag and drop. It even handles challenging edges, giving your photos a professional look. And if you're having to process a lot of images like this, it can save you hours of time. Remove background even lets you export a file straight into Canva if you don't have any professional design software. Depending on which version you pay for, there's even a Photoshop extension, which is super helpful. Next we've got Let's Enhance. So this is an image enhancer and upscaler. It was founded to meet the challenges of user-generated content, and it allows you to upscale images up to 16 times their size without compromising their quality. And you can do 20 images at a time. I have no idea how it does this, but it does seem to work in most cases. There are also other features that allow you to enhance your image quality without increasing the size of the image. Next up, AutoDraw. Now I find this is really great for simple icons. It's a web-based AI-powered drawing tool. So with this you basically draw in a rough sketch with your mouse or tablet and it will suggest simple illustrations based on that sketch. A great one for colour picking is Chroma. It works a bit like a Netflix for colours. First you pick the colours that you like. It will then suggest a bunch of colour palettes and combinations based on your choices. It will give you text combinations with a background and full colour palettes. I use this on a daily basis. It's become a really handy tool in my workflow. You can save your favourite colour palettes, and if you click on the info button, you can see the colour breakdowns and hex values. Next we have Luminar Neo, which is a semi-automated image editing software that takes a lot of the tedious work out of image editing and retouching. One of my favourites, we have Compressor.io. Compressor.io can reduce the file size of up to 50 images without losing any quality. It's super handy for website and SEO optimization, or for one of the numerous reasons you need to send files under 1 megabyte for whatever reason. This is the best way I have found for doing that. Finally, we have UIZard or Wizard. This is a really simple website or app prototype creator that users can actually interact with. It has drag and drop functionality and creates wireframes, and so when it's shared for preview, it will actually work like an app. It's a bit like Squarespace but for app building, and this is great because it takes out one of the biggest barriers to entry for designing an app, which is a really expensive prototype. Our next big shift in design is going to be new school luxury. So when you think of luxury design, you may think minimalist, serif typefaces, dark or muted colours, gold foils, and a general understated aesthetic. But this traditional take on luxury is appealing less and less to a younger generation. As part of a larger trend of inclusivity, luxury is becoming more expressive and unhindered by traditional rules of what makes something look premium. It's now more about being a little bit ostentatious, edgy and expressive, taking a lot of inspiration from the world of fashion. There's a few ways that we're seeing this shift. One is clashing high culture with street culture, and we can do this by mixing traditional luxury hues like metallics, serif typefaces and intricate elements with bold industrial typography and vibrant colours. It creates a really sort of unexpected visual tension that still feels luxury but is much more edgy and exciting. Another way we're seeing luxury change is it's becoming much more bold, creative and surreal, mixing styles, merging traditional and futuristic while retaining the detail, depth and intricacy associated with quality and luxury. Again, this is all about taking classic luxury cues and being audacious with how you apply them and mix them to give it that contemporary edge. But just remember, it's always important to retain a higher level of craftsmanship and detail. Our next trend is human-centric design. So people choose the brands that belong to a lifestyle they aspire to, or have principles that they resonate with. It's no longer believable for brands to try and appeal to everyone. They have to prioritise who they wish to attract. In order to do this, brands must display their personality in an authentic way. They need to have a point of view and show what they stand for. This isn't a new idea, but it is becoming much more prominent. It's called human-centric brand design. When I say human, I don't mean using hand-drawn typefaces and calling it human-centric. It's achieved by adding relatable personality to the tone of voice, visual characteristics, and brand stories. For example, we're going to look at this M&M's rebrand. So in 2022, M&M's revealed a global redesign in an attempt to create a world where everyone feels they belong. So as we go through this, just keep in mind the type of person they might be trying to connect with. So let's start with the colour palette. The colour palette celebrates their full iconic spectrum of colours, which is just like pouring out a pack of M&Ms. Their new typeface is a custom typeface that seeks to evoke a sense of fun with an eclectic mix of weights and widths, and their tone of voice is more inclusive, welcome and unifying. They've also included lots of motion that brings a sense of fun and playfulness to the brand. So I would say that all of this aims to attract those with more inclusive values who also appreciate playfulness and fun in life. It's playing to authentic human values, beliefs and personality through visual principles and design. Speaking of authenticity, Apple's Shot on iPhone campaign saw the brand use photographs taken by iPhone users, blowing them up to be used on billboards. This mix of user-generated content and an authentic display of the brand's creative personality makes for a relatable campaign appealing to anyone that has an iPhone and sees themselves as creative, thereby making that precious human connection. They also launched another campaign that was shot and edited on iPhone, showing the phone's editing capability, but they're now taking it one step further, publishing entire short films that have been shot entirely on iPhone. The new avenues for regular people to be able to generate content through AI and better quality cameras will only further open the door for brands and people to connect with the human need for creativity. So yeah, 2023, you want to use design and marketing to get chatty with your target audience. This next trend really excites me, and that is DIY photography and video. So when I was a kid, I remember seeing Jason and the Argonauts for the first time. I remember being blown away by the stop motion visual effects for some reason. So I grabbed my dad's first video camera and a bunch of toys and tried to recreate it. And this next trend is kind of reigniting that childhood playfulness and passion that I had. But we'll come back to that. So getting access to good quality photography or video is usually an expensive and time-consuming task. Either having to spend a lot of money on a photographer or videographer, or having to stump up a lot of cash to use services like Shutterstock or Getty, which don't always have the most authentic looking content. But nowadays, the camera in your phone is more than enough to create some passable or even impressive content, as we've already seen in Apple's ad campaigns. The Google Pixel also sells this as one of their phone's main features, with the ability to take great shots and then edit using different apps right there on your phone. With this major financial barrier coming down a little bit, designers are able to create content on the fly at a fast pace. I think this is going to lead to a lot of creative lifestyle photography in design, leading to more collage and DIY aesthetics, with all creatives able to experiment much more easily with photography and video. I also think there's going to be a continuation and expansion of the retro grungy aesthetic that takes us back to the DIY 80s, 90s image and video style. It's reminiscent of old skate videos, music and film posters. You don't really need professional photography to achieve this aesthetic. It's more about being experimental and trying different things out. We can also just take a look at YouTube and TikTok. They're still growing their user base exponentially, and most of the content is filmed on phone. For stock photography, there are websites like Unsplash and Pexels, which offer very high quality lifestyle photography and video that are completely royalty free and free for commercial use. Envato Elements offers unlimited downloads at an affordable price, and there is new photo editing software that is intuitive and easy to use, such as Let's Enhance and Luminar. All of this allows creators to be experimental and embrace the do-it-yourself mindset within image and video creation, which is going to lead to some really exciting results. 3D motion design is the last big trend I see coming this year, and it follows the theme of breaking barriers of entry. So working in 3D for creative purposes is becoming easier and cheaper. Any designer that boots up a program like Cinema 4D will know how daunting it can be working in a space that is totally different with a bunch of new tools to learn. It's also very, very expensive to get into as a beginner, but there are a few ways this is getting easier. For a start, Adobe have just made it super simple to turn vector graphics into 3D objects, and I've actually seen some really impressive results from this. But better yet, there's also very affordable and even free software like Vectory, which makes the world of 3D animation and augmented reality extremely accessible and easy to use. Vectory allows you to easily convert vector files like logos into 3D objects, which you can add materials to, light in different ways, and even animate. You can also model 3D objects from scratch, adding textures and lighting, just like in any other 3D software, with a surprising amount of control. It's very intuitive and easy to use. You can animate your 3D files or add flat animation as textures that people can actually interact with when they're embedded on a web page. You can even create augmented reality pieces and 3D Instagram filters with this browser-based program. Again, it's not going to be as in-depth as something like Cinema 4D, but the trade-off is the cost and ease of use, and it may be an easier segue into more complicated 3D software. So this is all relevant because as more and more brands start building in the metaverse, they'll need to meet the same level of quality and interaction that they have in the physical realm, leading to an entirely new design niche of a sort of 3D virtual designer. There's also the fact that our attention span's getting shorter and shorter, so having a bit of motion in your graphics is really going to help hold the viewer's attention. So I really think this is a skill set that's worth learning yourself or integrating into your team. Even if you don't design specifically in 3D, it's great for showcasing work like packaging and brand world. So there you have my top 5 trends and predictions for 2023. It's going to be an exciting year, so do your research and stay on top of it. Thanks for watching today, guys. For more creative tips and tricks, just click through to one of my next videos.